So tonight is special. This Shabbat is not like all others. We could add a question to the fore. How is this Shabbat different? It has a special name, Shabbat Hagadol, meaning the Great Shabbat or Sabbath. Every year, the Shabbat preceding Passover is called Shabbat Hagadol. This Sabbath received the title Great because of the importance of the approaching holiday. Another explanation for this Shabbat takes us back to the event of the Exodus. Tradition tells us that the 10th of the Hebrew month Nisan in the year of the Exodus was on a Saturday, and it was considered a great event. In fact, a miracle that the Israelites could select a lamb for sacrifice without being tormented by their Egyptian masters, who at other times would have stoned them to death for such things. Another explanation teaches us that people used to return from the synagogue later than usual on this Shabbat because of the unusually long sermon that was customary on this day. But don't worry, I'm not going to do that. The service ran so long because the ritual rules and dietary obligations of the upcoming holiday were reviewed. Thus, the Shabbat seemed great or longer than other Sabbaths and called Shabbat Hagadol, the big Sabbath. As we prepare for Pesach, there's always lots to do. Many began cooking and cleaning weeks ago. A local Jewish Facebook group I'm subscribed to has what seems frantic hourly posts about where to find horseradish, Manischewitz wine, and matzah products. The good china comes out of its protective cases. Tables are being extended and being set. The stack of the Haggadot are being retrieved from the bookcase and dusted off. Many are deciding which online Seder they'll attend to augment the experience of keeping gatherings small in our homes still. We hope that you have readied your Seder supplement cards in the temple, the one that we sent out to all our members. Anyone who has ever hosted a Seder or makes Passover food knows that the preparations keep us busy and demand a lot of attention. From the shopping, to the preparation, to the serving, and of course, the cleanup. And then we have a whole week where many are hyper-focused on what we can eat and what we cannot eat, and those who wonder, when does the holiday even end? 7 days? 8 days? Which day is that exactly? It's possible that our hyper-focus on all these details, while important and at times even fascinating, distracts us from an essential part of the holiday. In the book of Exodus, God tells Moses many times to go to Pharaoh and tell him to let the people go. This is a famous part of the Magid, the storytelling part of our Seder. And just as well known is Pharaoh's refusal, time and time again saying no, or saying, okay, go ahead, and then changing his mind. It's a classic back and forth tension between the forces of oppression and redemption. Our children even sing a song and wave their finger, no, 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 I will not let them go. In Exodus chapter 5, verse 23, Moses says to God, since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought trouble on this people, and neither have you delivered your people at all. Moses is clearly losing his patience and boldly calls God out. And a midrash asks, where is God's compassion? Where is God's kindness? As God keeps sending Moses back and forth to Pharaoh, things are getting worse for the people. More people are suffering. God promised deliverance. Moses wonders, when will God redeem the people instead of increasing their suffering? Why does God just not free them? God heard their cries and saw their suffering. A second midrash is even more pointed and asserts that redemption does not erase what came before it. Redemption does not take away slavery and suffering. In this midrash, Moses asks, O Lord, why do you bring harm upon this people? Why did you send me? Ever since I came to Pharaoh to speak your name, he has dealt worse with this people, and still you have not delivered your people, just like we read. Rabbi Akiva interprets this by saying, I know that God, you will redeem the people, but what about those who have been immured in building? At this moment, God desired to harm Moses. But when God saw that Moses saw these things on behalf of Bnei Yisrael, he did not harm them. Moses' compassion for his brethren is what saves him. This challenging of God is not part of the Haggadah, not part of any Haggadah that I've read around my beautifully set Seder table. Rabbi Akiva, who himself was martyred, asks all about the souls who were closed in or crushed or trapped in the building projects that the Egyptians demanded, even those after the dialogue with God begins. Rabbi Akiva knows and trusts in the promise of redemption, but asks about those who suffered and died. How do we celebrate freedom and the Exodus with full hearts, knowing that people died? Our people, our ancestors, and Egyptian people. And so I ask you, in our time, for tomorrow night and Sunday, how can we sit around our Seder tables and celebrate freedom and redemption when 543,630 Americans have died of COVID-19 and more than 2.7 million worldwide? How can we sit around our Seder tables celebrating freedom and redemption when 10 people who went to the grocery store on Monday in Boulder, Colorado, were shot and killed in the store and will never return to their homes or the warm embrace of their loved ones? And how can we sit around our Seder tables celebrating with freedom and redemption when 8 people were shot and killed at 3 massage parlors located in Atlanta last week, and some are still asking whether it was a hate crime targeting Asian people? Yes, we will gather, and we will celebrate. We will ask questions and dip our parsley and drink lots of wine and eat matzah and charosis and maror. We will engage in traditions and rituals that call to mind joy and hardship, and we will express thanks for our blessings. But if we're really paying attention and engaged in the sacred work that we are commanded to do, then we cannot celebrate with a full heart while others continue to suffer and live in fear and persecution. The story we retell, the mitzvah that we are commanded, calls upon us to consider and internalize and ultimately to mobilize to be agents of redemption for all. Just like Moses and the ancient Israelites had to walk through the sea on their own feet, so too do we need to do the work of moving redemption forward. The work is ours to do, and there is lots to be done. So, as you make your final preparations to the table, as you place the Haggadah on each chair, as you reheat your soup or slice your brisket and peel the eggs and get your Seder link ready to click, please remember to make space for calling to mind and heart and consciousness all those who suffered and died in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, yes, and in all the narrow places where hatred and fear and sickness and hunger have been and remain. Let us use our freedom to help bring about the redemption of those not yet free. Shabbat Shalom.